So what I forgot to say in my video that I just did is my hair is like a total disaster right now. I was out with a friend early this morning. We kind of had coffee and I went to where she was, and so it was really early because I had to take my son to his band stuff. We have to leave the house at 6:30 in the morning to get him to this band stuff. So I thought, well, I'll just meet with her for coffee too. And so I like took a quick shower, ran out of the house, and then by the time we were done, because we decided, oh, let's go do this and this and this before I had to leave for work. So then I just had to like get ready in about 10 minutes for work. So this is what you get when I don't put a whole lot of time into things, but that's okay. Hello everyone. I have limited time, so I'm just gonna jump right in. I don't even have like a list of things. I mean, it's in my head, but I didn't take the time to write it down and everything because I am not sure when my stepson will be back. I have not been able to get in this study for weeks, and that is why I don't have a lot of videos being uploaded right now. I was thinking yesterday I really need to work out what I want this channel to be and about mostly, and then the consistent videos. I mean, I would love to post daily, but I'm just not there yet. But as soon as he goes back to the dorm, I'm gonna revamp everything in here. I was just walking around like, I miss my books. This is where I get inspired and I get ideas for different videos and devotions and, you know, for writing and everything. So it's nice to be back in here, but it's just for a little while tonight. And also my computer, I had to take it in to get fixed. It was a mess. I think it has a bunch of viruses on it. And so they told me they weren't sure if they were going to either try to reset it or put a new hard drive in it. So I don't know when I'll get that back. So I just have my little iPad here right now in case I need to look something up. So I'm just going to do like a hodgepodge, like a few books, because I used to do book hauls all the time. So I need to decide, do I want to do that or do I want to continue to do that or not? So I was going to talk about a few things. I reconnected with my stepmom today, this month. I'll do a few book hauls, and I was going to talk a little bit about what is a chaplain again, because I kind of left that hanging in the last video. I have not had time or taken the time to go back and watch that, so I don't know where I left it. I kind of know. I know some things I did not say, so I'll say that today. So we will just dive right in. So a chaplain, a lot of chaplains are what they call empaths. So I am an empath, and I looked that up. So an empath is someone who is highly attuned to the energy and emotions around them, whether that energy is coming from individuals, groups. I guess I need to click into this. No, I don't know where this is. Or physical spaces. Professional, intuitive, and author of self-care empaths tells, okay, the term is derived from the word empathy, which is the ability to understand and share the emotions of another. So an empath is someone who takes empathy beyond what most people experience. So I am totally that. When I am with a patient, I can step right into their shoes and understand what they're feeling at the very moment. And if they're in pain, then I just empathize. I just know. And that must be just a gift that God put there that would help me with my profession, you know. And so like if a child is crying or, you know, something is happening, I just automatically, I can feel it. I can feel what that person is feeling. Like it's hard for me to go by the homeless on when I'm driving down the road, because I mean, I can tell that story too, but I know what it's like to be homeless, and I know that is such a horrible thing for someone to go through. And so I feel that when I see the homeless on the streets, just anything, like an orphan child, I feel what they're feeling. I don't even know how to explain it. So, and let me just preface this to say that not every chaplain is the same. I happen to be this type of chaplain, and this certain, I'm a Protestant in a certain denomination, and, so everyone's unique and they have their own thing. But, and of course there are people in the profession that shouldn't be, that's in every profession. There's some people just got stuck there, or they thought they wanted to do it, but then they don't like it, or, that happens. So not every person is equal. Not every realtor or every, accountant, or, in anything, not everyone is equal. So you want to find a good one. So I would say a good chaplain would be an empathetic, and possibly just be an empath. And then I also am what they call a highly sensitive person. There's a book on that. I got it. I never read it. I've had it for 20 years. I just know I'm a highly sensitive person, and whatever. So one of these days I'll get the book out and maybe read some excerpts from that. So, and then also, so I, those are kind of emotional things, but you want to bring in the spiritual also. So with me, I try to tap into the spirit. So when I go into a room and I am with a patient, it depends on what that person wants. So my style is very much, I let the patient set the pace and the tone for whatever we need, or whatever needs to happen. So if they're at a point where, wherever they're at, that's where I try to meet them where they're at. And what was I trying to say with that? So if someone is really in distress and needs, a little bit more, I'm supposed to always tap into the spiritual, but I will really tap in to my soul, my spirit, to know exactly what that person needs. With someone that's in distress and needs a little bit more, something more. If someone is just, hey, or it's just like maybe a 5-minute thing, and something might be a little bit deep, there's things that I already know that I can give them, that I've already processed. I already know how to respond to that. But when I'm really deep with someone, and someone is really they're ready, because that's another thing. If someone is not ready to hear something, you can say it to them 10 times, they're still not going to hear it. They're not going to absorb it. That happens to me with my mentor all the time. She'll say something, and I'll say, or I'll say, I read this verse and it just really spoke to me, and I'll say, what I was feeling about it. And she's like, well, we've talked about that before. And I'm like, well, I wasn't in that moment where I was receiving exactly that. Some things, people just, they have to be in that space for that particular thing. So what I want to do is give them exactly what they need in that moment. So I am going to ask the Holy Spirit to speak through me and to flow through me, so that I know that person is receiving what they need at the moment. And sometimes I'll say something that I never thought of, or it'll come out in a different way, and I know that's God giving that person that specific thing for them. And I'm really good in traumatic situations. If someone is had just lost a loved one, and they're grieving and they're crying, I'm really good with that. I'm just like, look, you've got this, you know, and I'm very much an encourager type person. So I always try to encourage people, whether it's in, you know, crisis or not. So that's the part that I kind of left out, that you want to tap into the spiritual. So a really good chaplain is going to take all of these things, okay, knowledge that they might have about psychology, social things. I mean, you have to kind of understand human behavior, and then if you are one that has the spiritual part, then you're going to kick them all in at once, and that's when you're really functioning at your best in your profession. So you're going to take it all at once. You know, there's days where I might just give someone, you know, something that I already know or whatever, but it just depends on the moment that is happening in their life. Like, you know, they ask me certain questions about certain theology that I already know, I'll just tell them. But in a deep moment where someone is really needs to fill something, then fill a void that they're having or whatever, or they need an answer, then that's when I will tap totally into everything, make sure that what I'm saying to them is not incorrect or not erroneous. So you know, I feel like this is, I mean, it's definitely a ministry. Anything can be a ministry, but this is a calling. I am specifically called to this, and I know that. So there was something else I was going to say about chaplains. Well, anyway, a lot of them are ordained, you know, ordained ministers. Anyway, if I think of what else I was going to say, I'll come back to this. But I want to talk about, I reconnected with my stepmom. So my dad, when he passed away, he was married to a lady named Cindy. And she had gone to Costa Rica with him for like 8 years. They had actually lived there, and they had a townhouse. It was really cute. I went and visited them, and but then after my dad passed away, we lost touch with her, and I haven't seen her in 10 years, really. So this is a really cool story, because this is how the Holy Spirit leads. If you believe that the Holy Spirit can lead and guide you, you know, if you don't believe it, maybe this will help you to believe. And, you know, it's a confirmation that he actually does. So I was with a friend, and I was at her house, and she lives really close to the cemetery that my mom is buried at. So whenever I go visit her, I usually will go by the cemetery and just kind of drive by the grave, see how it's doing, you know, are the flowers okay, you know, all of that. So that's what I did. So I went by the grave, and I was just thinking and, you know, contemplating things and life and all of this. Well, for some reason, I did not turn out of the cemetery to go the way that I normally go to go home, which is a little bit faster way. I chose a different route. So I end up on the street where I know my stepmom and her, my stepmother's daughter used to live, or I thought used to live. And I thought, yeah, this is the street that they lived on. I'm pretty sure this is it, right? So I'm driving, it's coming up, and Holy Spirit is like, you should go there and see if she's there. I was like, and I thought, is that just me? Because my sister and I had gone one time. I had gone a couple times myself. A lot of us had gone there and tried to look, and we thought, oh, they must have moved. You know, there's never anybody there. No one comes to the door. I mean, I thought they're not there anymore. And it was like, God was like, no, you need to go today. You need to go and check and see. And it was almost as if I was going to turn in there. I was just going to turn in there. And I thought, okay, Lord, all right, well, I mean, it's not going to cost me much time, maybe 5 minutes to at least check, right? So, so I turn in, I go. I'm not really exactly sure which one of these condos it is. They all kind of look the same, and I was trying to remember, okay, I think it's this one. And then I see this guy outside, and so I parked, and I'm like, this is like where it was. So I just go up to him, and he's like, yeah, can I help you? And I said, I'm looking for Cindy. And then he goes, you look familiar. Oh, you're Ralph's daughter. And I said, yes. And he said, well, that's, I'm her son-in-law. And I said, oh, okay. So I remembered him, right? He looked a lot different. I mean, it's been years for him, seeing him, more than 10 years probably. And so he tells me that she's there, and he runs and gets her. And I'm like, really? I mean, I was stunned. This is a decade, guys. This is a decade. I have not seen her. So, he's got the garage door open, and they're just like doing stuff in the garage, and she comes out and she talks to me, and we like sit and talk for an hour about things about my dad, and some of the things I had forgotten that she told me about, some stories about right before he died, and this and that, and things they did in Costa Rica, and we talked about a lot of things. Well, so my dad, she had my dad cremated, and we never had the ashes. We never had any of the ashes. And I remember my family talking about this so many times. Why don't we have Dad's ashes? And where is he? And did she bury him somewhere? And I would sometimes look up and see if I could find where his gravesite was. Like, we didn't know anything. And the first thing that her son-in-law says to me, we have your dad's ashes, and we've been trying to get them to you for the last 10 years. And I'm like, huh? Thinking, why didn't you just pick up the phone and call? Like, I'm not going to say that because that would probably be rude, but I was just thinking, what? It's not like we're, anyway, whatever. So he runs in there and brings out my dad's ashes in this box, and it's sealed, and I just about fell over. I was just like, oh my gosh, because my plan was to ask her for a portion of the ashes. I wasn't going to ask her for all of them. I was going to have her keep some, and I'll take some, and maybe I can have them put at a certain cemetery or whatever. He needs a grave marker, just for a proper thing. But I didn't know if she had him put, because her family owns a graveyard or something over in Kingfisher somewhere. And so I thought she had possibly done that, but I could never find it. Anyway, this is getting too long. But, so I said, Cindy, you don't have to give me the ashes. I said, I can take a portion, which that's not really possible because it's sealed. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. You don't just like do anything with the ashes. They're sealed in there. That's probably a legal thing, She goes, no, I want you guys to have them. And I said, are you sure? She says, yes, I want you to have them. So I'm not going to show his ashes because that's a little too morbid, but they're actually in another room over here. And I just couldn't believe it. But she also gave me his tallit. So this is my dad's tallit. A tallit is a prayer shawl, a Jewish prayer shawl. And this is actually the tallit that my dad prayed under. I mean, what a treasure. What a treasure is this, right? I mean, I didn't even think about anything like this. And so she said she has had this prayer shawl sitting on top of his ashes this whole time. And I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, oh wow. So it was a total God thing to go there that day. I mean, after 10 years of not knowing anything about the ashes or anything. And so I immediately called my siblings, my sister, and she could not believe it. And so I found out Cindy had not put a burial marker at that graveyard. And she said, I think he should be with his mom and dad down in, they lived in the Lawton area. And I said, yeah, I agree with that. So I'm going to call my aunt. I'm going to call my Aunt Violet and see if we can arrange that. So like, it just all came together. Like, okay, now I know he doesn't have a grave marker. We've got to figure something out. I got to call my aunt. And then my sister agreed. Yes, he should be down there with his mom and dad. So I actually haven't called my Aunt Violet yet. I texted her, but we haven't actually connected yet. But I remember her saying that she had a spot, I think, for him. So I was just over the moon. So the ashes are going to go probably there, and then maybe we can get him some kind of grave marker. But now I have his tallit. So I kind of feel like part of his mantle, I already felt like that anyway, that part of his mantle of his ministry had been passed to me already. But now I really felt it with this tallit. So that was pretty amazing. That was just an amazing thing that happened. That was just recently, maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. But look how God is, you know. I mean, the thing is, God is always speaking to us. He's always speaking to us. And, but he is speaking in different ways. You know, he can speak to us through nature. He can speak to us through music. He can speak to us through the written word, through his word, you know, through so many things, just a person or a gesture. He can speak to you through someone's smile. I mean, you don't know what you could do one day that would change someone's life, that would change their world, that could just pull them out of the dumps, you know. I mean, you just don't know. But God knows. That's why when I minister with people, I want to tap into that spiritual part, because only God knows what that person exactly needs. You know, I can't know that. Oh, this is what I was going to say about chaplaincy. So last video I said you have to be kind of like a people whisperer, right? Well, I watched this show. It's called My Cat from Hell, and it's about this guy that is a cat whisperer. Okay, they don't actually, I mean, they call him that. That's like the slang, but he is a cat behavioral specialist of cats. Like, he just understands their behavior so well that he can go to your house, and whatever problem you're having with your cat, it sounds so cheesy, but when you watch this show, you get it. You can have lots of problems with your cats. Lots of problems. They're scratching everything. They're doing this. They're doing that. Lots of problems with your cats. So we have 2 cats. And the reason we got the cats is because my son wanted them. Okay. I love cats and dogs. I like both. Either one, you know, I like animals anyway. But I don't really have a preference between the 2. I like them probably equally. So we only had 1 cat for a long time. Well, she had this bladder problem. I mean, cats are very fickle. They're very misunderstood creatures. They're very fickle, and they're very particular about everything. I mean, you could have a problem because you have the wrong cat litter. You could have, I mean, there's just all these things. And when you watch the show, you get it. It's like, oh, the cat's behaving this way because of this. There's another cat outside that's threatening him, or, you know, and then they have to put these deterrents out to keep that cat away so that this cat doesn't misbehave. So our cat had like this bladder problem, and we went through probably a year and a half of trying to figure out what was wrong. I mean, it's so frustrating because cats can't talk. They can't tell you what's wrong. So this guy is like a cat whisperer. There's also something called a horse whisperer. There's people that understand, you know, like they're specialized in these certain things. Well, that's kind of what a chaplain has to do. Not that I'm an expert in human behavior, but I do observe, you know, like I said, I put all of these things into action when I'm at a scenario. You know, you have to try to figure out the dynamics of what's going on, of the family. like every family has its dynamics and its people that cause things, or the peacemaker, you know, all these things. So, but yes, you have to figure out the family dynamics. You have to figure out their spirituality, you know. So one of the things, I got stopped by a nurse the other day, and she was asking me about, you know, things about chaplaincy and you know, are we trained to I think she was concerned that we're not like embracing all the faiths or something. I don't know. But yes, we're trained to, so on our list, when we go visit a patient, it'll tell us what religion they are, because that's something we need to know. So like you could have someone who's an atheist. Okay, so you're gonna go into that room. You may or may not ask to pray for them, or if you do pray, you may, you know, I mean, there's just different things you're gonna do. If someone is some other religion, or even all the denominations in Christianity can be crazy. You know, there's umpteen denominations. I mean, and then there's so many different theologies. So depending on where someone is from, oh, then they probably kind of believe this way, you know. So there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that you have to be together. I cannot believe this cat is trying to get in here right now. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I can see him right there. He's looking at me. He's like, let me in. Anyway, oh gosh. So you see what I mean? So cats have their behavior, dogs have their behavior, you know, horses have their behavior, humans have their behavior, right? So anyway, it just makes sense to me. It just makes sense to me. May not make sense to anyone else. But anyway, I've been wanting to show this for a long time. This is, my friend gave me this. She went to an estate sale and she brought this back because it's Easter 1972. So I was born in 1972, and Easter is my favorite holiday. I love Easter. I love spring. I love the springtime, and I love Easter. So she gave this to me, and it's an Easter egg. It's Noritake bone china. And look how beautiful. And I also love green, and it happens to have a lot of green in it. You know, it's just a little token from a friend. This says, the giving of decorated eggs has been an important tradition in the old world for many years. The egg, symbolizing the source of life, is given to express the love and friendship that lies deep in the heart of the giver. I mean, she gave this to me. I will cherish this for probably ever. I just thought, and she's like, oh, April, it's nothing. But to me, it was huge. It just really warmed my heart when she gave me this. That's why I don't understand when Christians are mad about the eggs at Easter. What makes you mad about that? I mean, well, the bunny's not laying the eggs, and what does the bunny mean, and all these things, and it's not about a bunny. Well, we know that, but it's spring. That's when the bunnies come out. That's when, you know, you can go out and get the eggs that chickens are laying. It's a sign of new life. Hello, that's what Easter is all about. It's about new life, because Christ died and rose again. Like, you don't get that? I mean, so to me, who cares? I'm not. What's the problem with the eggs and the bunny? I don't see a problem with it. So I'll get off of that soapbox, but trust me, just there are some just nutsy Christians out there that get these things in their heads, and I'm just like, oh gosh, dear Lord, please give me patience, because the logic is out the window. But that's why I love this. The egg symbolizes the source of life. That's what Easter is about, in the religious sense anyways. So some of the books that I was going to show. So I recently joined the prayer team at my church. That was another thing that God had me do. Okay, this is probably going to sound crazy again, but I knew that I was supposed to be at the church, at the wall. There's a wall that we have at the church where you have all the life groups. So a life group is a small group that you're supposed to get involved in. So all the different groups are up there. The women's groups, the men's groups, the kids groups, all the different things. This huge wall. And then all of the different ministries that the church is involved in, that's there, all the things. So there's this huge, long wall. I knew that I was supposed to be up there praying for people at the wall. But I'm like, but God, how? Like, I don't think they do that at our church. I've never seen them do that. I didn't know they did that. And I'm like, I'm totally willing, but throw me a bone here. I don't know. Do I call the pastor up and be like, I need to meet with you because I'm supposed to be at this wall? I mean, what do I do? So I knew that wasn't going to happen. But so I was already a community leader at the church. So I was in contact with the life missions pastor. And he's the one that made me a community leader. So I contacted him. And not about that actually, but I did meet with him about some things. So somehow I found out about this event they have. And I think it's from being a community leader because you get invited to these certain events. And so I thought, well, I'm going to go to that. And I went, and I really didn't have time to go. I think we were leaving for a trip or something the next day. And I'm like, how am I going to make it to this? But I made it to it anyway. So I've asked God, like, lead me and guide me every step, right? So I know I was supposed to go to that, so if I felt led to go, spirit led to go, then there was a reason, right? I had no idea what they were doing at this event. It was a new event. Church has never put this on before. So I'm at a table. They put you at a table, right? They put your name somewhere and you go. So I'm sitting there. They served us dinner. We had, so it's weird. God does things, in a certain way, and he will put you where you need to be. So I'm sitting at the table and I meet this, Latin American lady who's really dynamic, and I'm like, oh, let's meet up for coffee. I connected with her, and then this other lady that I already knew. She was from the town that I came from. I already knew her, but I hadn't actually met her in person. Like, I knew her on social media and I knew who she was. So I met her, and there was another couple people, and then I find out the pastor's daughter is the one leading my table. The pastor's daughter, right? So she ends up getting all of our numbers, and we write all this stuff in a book. It's like this exercise you're doing. So what are your goals, for things that you want to do for God, and what are some things you would like to see? It was just like a planning type. It was like a brainstorming type thing. So we had these workbooks, and we had to write all this stuff down and blah, blah, blah. So then she wants, the pastor's daughter, right? Then she wants our prayer request. So we write all this down for her. We give it to her. So next thing I know, she texts me. It's like a week later. And she said, I saw that you had written this down, and well, why don't we invite you to be on the prayer team? And I was like, what? I didn't even know you had a prayer team. That never crossed my mind. Okay. I don't know. I've been at other churches that had them. But I just didn't, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But they didn't have one. This was a new thing they were doing. So I was right. They didn't have one, or at least I'd never heard about it. So she invites me, and then I have to go meet with, the person that's in charge and all that. And then they have to like vet you through and blah, blah, blah. So then I'm on the prayer team. And so then we're having these meetings once a month. All the prayer team members meet. Where was I going with this? Someone is going in and out of the door like every 2 seconds, and I can't even concentrate when that happens. I don't know what is going on. So, what was I saying? So, okay, so I went to the meeting, and I mean, it's just really cool. So all the prayer requests that come in, they divvy them up between us. We're in this group me, and they, you know, we talk about the prayer requests and how we're praying for them, and etc. And then they'll send you people's numbers to call and connect with them if, you know, they're having a hard time and all that kind of stuff. But then we meet for prayer, and we pray over everything and all the requests, and then if we even can have requests. So at this meeting, they gave us a book. I can't even remember. Oh, this is it. I didn't think I had it. Yeah, they gave us this book, A Praying Life, Paul E. Miller. So, and then our pastor's wife is the one that really wanted the prayer group started. So I thought that was really cool. So she sends these video clips every once in a while about, you know, how's the prayer team doing, and on and on. And I think she's the one that recommended this book. So I am going to have to read this. It says, Connecting with God in a Distracting World. So that's a new book that I have. So I was going to show some new books that I have. And then there is this lady, minister, her name is Candace Smitherman. Okay, so I've gotten really interested in her. You know, I follow a lot of female, you know, ministers because, well, I'm a female, so I need role models, you know, that are like me, right? So I love her. So I had ordered this book. It's called Heavenly Portals. This is Candace Smitherman, where eternity impacts your past, present, and future. So I have not read this, I have to confess. But this other one that I ordered from her, I actually heard her speak on this. It's called Angels of Fire. So she says in this book that in the throne room, okay, so you have to believe there's a heaven, God is up there, and he's in a throne room. He's on the throne, in the throne room. There's people that have actually gone there and they've seen it. They see what it looks like. So there are these specific angels in the throne room of heaven. I'm feeling like the power right now. And these specific angels in the throne room have healing powers for specific things. So I was just like in awe when I heard her speak on this book. I ordered it immediately because I'm like, I am going to pray these specific prayers for me and my family. So she talks about, well, let's just look. She talks about angelic functions, what these certain angels do. Okay, so she talks about, so there's angels of fire, then the seraphim and the cherubim, angels of protection, angels of provision. It's just really interesting, and I totally believe it, of course. And then the foreword is by Guillermo Maldonado, which is an apostle. He, I think, is from Mexico, and he has this huge church, and I love watching him too. He has a show, Guillermo Maldonado, and I'm like, man, he did the foreword. This is so cool. And so I have read a lot of portions of this book because I wanted to find out about these specific angels. So there's the fire angels of purification, consecration. There's just all these different things, but there are specific ailments that, now she says, and you want to, might sound crazy and kooky, but they will bring certain coal or certain elements from the throne room for these specific ailments. I mean, I was just mesmerized. So now I have the book, and she outlines it all, which angels, and there's colors to them. So a certain color, is it the color of the angel or the color of the coal? I can't remember. and there's been so many testimonies of people praying these prayers, and they asked for this specific thing and brought from the throne room of God. I mean, how freaking amazing is that? It just can't get any better than that. And that they will bring this to the person that is in need or sick, and they will bring it to them, and that it will heal them. I mean, it's just amazing. So oh my gosh, she was in Houston just a few months ago, and I wanted to go so bad, but it is so hard for me to leave because to leave the house here, because all the different needs of everyone, and especially for any extended period of time is really difficult. But I almost drove. I'm like, I'm just gonna drive there, but no, I always want to. I always want to go. I always want to do, and I couldn't go, but I would have been able to meet her personally, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to have a personal conversation with her. But maybe in the future I'll be able to meet her. Recently I've seen on social media, or the email they send me, she's going to be in Hawaii doing some meetings there. And they're like, oh, do you want to come to these meetings? Well, sure I do, but I can't, So, okay. I'm so amazed and in awe of that book. I love that book. This one, Dream Big, Bob Goff, I actually met him. Okay, so when I went to the Bahamas to this retreat thing a couple of years ago, he was there. There was all these minister types and singers and everything there, and that's what you go to. You go to hear these sessions and hear the music and all that. Well, he was at the door. He was one of the speakers, but he was greeting people at the door one night when we came in, and I actually got a photo with him. But I don't remember where I got this book. Someone gave me this book, I think. And I can't remember why I have this book, because I did not buy this book. I don't think I had any of Bob Goff's books. But he came to our church. He spoke at our church one time, and my husband really liked him. And actually, I think he bought one of the books. Okay, so he might have bought this actually. But it's Dream Big, and he's really good. He's a good writer. He's a good speaker. I mean, it was funny. He had a lot of, humor in there. It says, know what you want, why you want it, and what you're going to do about it. So, and that's been a big thing for me in recent years. I stopped dreaming. I really stopped dreaming about anything. I wasn't dreaming about, I don't know, like people will say, what are your hopes and dreams? And it's like, what? I'm just trying to make it through, this week. So I wasn't writing down. I just stopped. I just stopped dreaming. After all of these hardships and things that I had been through and everything, and it's not an excuse, but it just tears you down or wears you down to where you're like, well, this is it, and I'll never get to this, I'll never do that, or and when you're young you have all these dreams, and I had gotten to where they just whittle down. Some of them, yes, I've done, but then I just stopped writing new dreams. And I was telling my friend that the other day, and I'm like, that's just not good. You always need something to look forward to. You always need something to dream about or something to attain later on. And I'm not into attaining materialistic things. So that's not going to be a goal, but I do like material things. I appreciate them. I really do. I appreciate nice things, but I don't have to have it. I don't have to have the certain, name brand or whatever. I do like it. I appreciate it, but I don't have to have it. So I'm not going to live my life to try to attain that. But certain things like writing my book, doing these videos, things like that, or going certain places. Like I had just stopped dreaming about any of that. Like I would love, like here's a dream, I would love to have a place in Costa Rica that I could go to. So I had just stopped all of that, and that's really a sad thing. I probably should do a video about that, but you know, that's neither here nor there. Oh yes, I also, okay, I don't know if I told this story. Here's another amazing story, okay? Well, maybe I did tell it, because when I went to Costa Rica in April, that's been 4 months now. So I went there because my friends threw me a 50th birthday party. But while I was there, I went to the pastor that my dad mentored this family, and they are now pastors of a church there. So whenever I go, I always go to their church. I mean, I love them. They're like family to me. Edgar and his wife and their kids, and I'm going to their church. So my friend took me. I had no idea this was going to happen while I was there, but I kind of figured he would bring me up front and have me say something. That did happen, and so I did that. But I really wasn't prepared. Like I was just like, oh, I should have prepared something better than what I said. It was just kind of really, I don't know, off the cuff. But I see him walking out with this big book, okay? And he says to me, oh, this is after church. After church is over, he brings this to me. And he's like, April, and he's like all serious. And he says, this was your dad's Bible. And oh my God, this thing is so heavy, but it even has his name, Ralph and Cindy, because he was married to her at the time. And he's like, this was your dad's Bible, and I've kept it all these years. I've had it in my office and like kind of protected, and I don't let anyone, you know, do anything with it, but I want you to have it. And I mean, I just burst into tears, and then, you know, his wife Candy is crying, and he's crying, and I'm crying, and we're all hugging each other, and it was so special. I mean, that's one of those life moments that I will never forget. You know, like my dad's been gone 10 years this year. It'll be 10 years. You know, and he's giving me this Bible, and it's just something I didn't expect, and it was just so precious. It was so precious. But the real precious thing to me is knowing that this man is mentored by my dad, him and his wife, and they are carrying on the ministry. And that ministry is not going to end, you know. Like my mentor says, if you minister to one person, it's exponential, because that person's going to go on and minister to someone else, or help someone else, or do something good for someone else, and it's exponential. So think about a couple that is pastoring a church with all these people for all these years. They've been pastoring a church. And so it's like, it warms my heart to know that the ministry that my dad had there, that we had, I mean, we actually moved there when I was 10 years old, you know, and planted this church. So it was like, it was our whole life, you know. We kind of gave our lives for this. Like it, you know, that's another story. But to know that that ministry lives on, whether the property gets, you know, redeemed back for it or not, the ministry lives on through the people, and that ministry is going right now. And that was just so special. And I have pictures of it. Of course, I don't like the way I look in the pictures, so I think I did post them because I'm like, well, I don't want to be that vain, you know, that I can't, you know, post a picture because I look overweight or whatever. I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks, but what can I do? You know, it is what it is right now. So I wanted to show my dad's Bible, and this is a Dake Annotated Bible, and I know that was his favorite. It's a Dake's Oh, let's see if we can do this. It's a Dake's Annotated Reference Bible. Now it's a King James, so that's not my favorite, but it is a Dake Bible. So Dake's Bible is its own thing. It's this guy, his name is Finis Jennings Dake. He came up with this whole Bible. It's not, the words aren't changed and all that. It's just that it's the references it gives you, the annotations. Like you can look up a verse and he will put his notes down there. So it's wisdom from this guy, his annotations, his notes from the scriptures, from his studies. So when you look up a verse, it'll show you where to go and you can see his notes on the verse. It's a really cool thing. So that's why it's so much bigger and heavier, because it has all that extra stuff in there. But that's not part of the Bible. You know that that's Dake's notes of the Bible. So, you know, there's a lot of misunderstandings about interpretations of the Bible or different versions of the Bible and all that kind of stuff. So this is not changing the Bible at all. It's just giving his perspective, which you can do that, you know. So I was going to do a little devotion because I haven't done that in a while, but I'm not going to do that because this is getting too long. Here's another book. So when I met with two of the pastors at my church. So it was a life groups missions pastor and then the associate. And in our conversation, someone just came and hissed at me like a cat. Nice. In our conversations, they were telling me about this book. So in this book, there's this guy is a chaplain, and he talks about his residency. That's the word that I forgot. So I called it an internship. When you're in chaplain training, it's a residency. It's kind of like a doctor's first year residency or whatever. That's what the chaplain does, a residency. So he talks about his residency in this book, and so that's why they were like, oh, we read this book and this chaplain guy was talking all about his first years in the hospital and all the things that he did, etc., and you would really like it. So of course I went out and got it. But it's about how to, if you've ever heard, it's lonely at the top, so you have to be the person to lift everyone else up. You have to be the person to comfort and to help, and you're always pouring out, giving out. So that can burn people out. It can give them anxiety, all this stuff. So this is just called managing leadership anxiety. So from a leader can be very lonely because they're the one that everyone's looking to. And so I read the parts about the chaplain. This is as far as I've gotten, because I took this, I think, on the plane with me, and then I stopped reading it when I got home. Go figure. So I got to page 51. What chapter I was going to here? What chapter is this? It was good. So I was in chapter 3. Well, anyway, at least I tried, right? So then someone in Costa Rica must have given me this. De parte de Dios, delante de Dios. Una guía de predicación expositiva. I actually think Edgar gave this to me. Yes, he did. I remember. He did. So this is about preaching. Anyway, he told me it was really good. I haven't read it. But I do read in Spanish. I can read in Spanish. I just haven't done it. So I think that was all the books I was going to show. I was going to do a devotional out of the Power Thoughts devotional. And I also have the book. So Joyce Meyer has the book, Power Thoughts, and then the devotional is just, devotions, 365 daily inspirations. So it's going to do a devotion out of this. Maybe it'll be short enough. Let's see, what is today? August The 18th or 19th. I don't even know. I guess I don't even have my phone in here. Interesting. And then I have another book I got from a speaker that I saw that came to another church I go to. This guy actually came and spoke. And so I bought a couple of his books. This is The Spirit of Elijah, which I wrote a devotion on Moses, and I was going to write one on Elijah and some of the other men. So that's probably why I bought that. I bought a couple of his other books. What is this down here? I've got books everywhere. I have got to get organized. So this study, actually, we have to replace the carpet. So the carpet is going to go, and then we're going to put probably hardwood floors or something. So I've been waiting to redo this until we get all that done. I think it's going to be in September, but we'll have to take everything out of here, and then I'll just start over. So I'll have to reorganize my books and everything. So August 18th says, "Let the redeemed of the Lord say so." Let the redeemed of, that's a verse, Psalm 107:2. "Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, whom he has delivered from the hand of the adversary." The Bible says those who belong to God are redeemed, and they should say so. You are redeemed. Jesus has paid the price for your redemption. It is yours, and you need to learn to agree with it. Start declaring out loud by faith, "I am redeemed from sin, guilt, and condemnation. I am redeemed from anger, bitterness, jealousy, and fear, and I am free to love God, myself, and other people." You must get these truths into your spirit before you will experience them. Faith comes first, and then manifestation. Faith is the evidence of things hoped for, the proof of things we do not see. Hebrews 11:1. You make a confession of faith because you believe God's word, not because you see or feel a certain thing. Choose to believe what God says and say the same thing by faith. And then she gives you a power thought at the end. I always speak words of faith. That's the power thought. So the concept behind the power thoughts, what started with her like most popular and best-selling book, I think, is Battlefield of the Mind. So God gave her that concept, and it is so true. It's our mind is the battlefield, because it's our thoughts that trip us up, and the overthinking. And I am so guilty of that, because I'm analytical, and I do overthink things, and that's a lot of ways that you can get into anxiety, which my mentor tells me speculation, and then just personally, I think overthinking things. So that book was such a success and helped so many people. So you have to win the battle in your mind in order to conquer these things, in order to break out of all of that stuff and to be able to move on in life, right? So then after that, she wrote Power Thoughts, which is this book. And then, so just to go beyond the battle, you've won the battle. Now you're going to have these power thoughts. It's kind of like the declarations and affirmations that I do every day. It's like, think these power thoughts, it's this thing that can just like explode, just you into positivity type thing, get you out of that negative thinking and the wrong thinking and all of that. We're going to think these power thoughts. So I think that's a good note to end on. I said a minute ago I wasn't going to do the devotion, but it worked out. So I did everything that I was going to do in this video, and probably a little bit more, and I rambled and rambled on. But anyway, I know I'm limited on time, so I'll try to edit this a little bit. So that always takes me a little bit, but anyway, thanks guys. And so now you have all my updates, and now my next goal is to get on track with my videos probably next week, when I'll have the study back, and I can get on a schedule. And so help me pray that I take this not channel, that I take this YouTube channel in the right direction that it needs to go. So, and once I make a decision on what that's going to be, then I can be consistent with, you know, the videos and everything, so that it all kind of, you know, fits on the same thing. So like on a Tuesday, I want to do a certain thing, or I need to decide, do I want to do 3 videos a week or 2 or what, and then stick with it and be consistent. So anyway, thanks guys, and I will see you in the next video.